ABC. It's Greeno. I don't know what the weather's like where you guys are at, but here on the East Coast, it's really nice, and it's got me thinking about flea markets and yard sales, and I'm getting kind of stoked for spring. And actually, one of the flea markets near me is opening this weekend, so I'll be hitting that Saturday morning bright and early. But along with thinking about that, I got thinking about some of the cool finds over the last few years, just yard sales and flea markets, just picking up stuff cheap and coming home and actually not even knowing, how much some of this stuff goes for in the price guides and on YouTube, and coming home and looking it up and just how crazy some of the prices are, and how you get kind of excited finding something you picked up for 50 cents or $1 and it's out of this world money wise. But I thought maybe to try a thread on this, maybe everybody kind of think about some of the cooler purchases you made on the cheap for say $5 or less, maybe 10, whatever, that you just kind of tried or thought looked cool and you got home and got kind of investigating it and you found out, wow, this thing's like worth some money. And just like say, not that I'm into this for the money or anything like that. I collect because I love music, and I love records and CDs and just playing them and going through them, digging through them. It's just a obsession. But it's kind of adds to when you come home and you investigate something you picked up and find out, wow, this thing's like $100 or $200 or something like that in mint condition or whatever. But I don't know, I thought it'd be cool if everybody kind of pulled out some stuff and showed like some killer finds that you found that goes for big money and you only paid a little bit for it. And actually kind of a two-part, and maybe show like an album that you actually did pay a lot for, and maybe just pick one, or maybe the one you paid the most for out of your whole collection. So I don't know, I'm kind of going to start off, and I just pulled out a few things, and all this stuff came from yard sales and flea markets and Craigslist, and just buying off people. Like some came from a guy bought some stuff off of at work, bought a couple boxes, and I think I gave him $1 per record. Just a lot of classic rock stuff, but one thing in there was pretty cool. So and actually that's this record, Led Zeppelin 2 master recordings, Mobile Fidelity. Like I said, I paid $1 for this, and get home and look it up and find out it goes for like $100 in the price guide, which is just insane. I would never pay $100 for this album. But it's cool. Picked it up for $1. Another one along kind of the same lines was the Allman Brothers at the Fillmore East. This is a super disc on Nautilus. It's also one of the audiophile pressings. And I was on my way home from work, and a guy was having a yard sale. Stopped in, and he had a ton of records, and most of them were just beat to hell and waterlogged, and this one is like mint. And asked him how much, and said 75 cents, so that's what I gave him, and come home and looked it up, and it's in the book for $100. I had no idea. I just picked it up. It was in good shape. I didn't have a copy of that. So, next is the Beatles White Album, and this is a indexed one. And to be quite honest, I don't know a lot about the Beatles pressings and all that, and I'm not even sure how much this goes for, but I hear people talk about the indexed White Albums, and I think I paid $2 for this at a flea market, and it's in great shape. This next one, I was at a church sale, and I found nothing. I went to the last booth, and there was 2 boxes of records. So I went to the first box, and was all like vocal stuff and classical, and which I don't collect, and stuff from the late 50s, early 60s. And I thought, well, great, nothing today. And I go to the next box, and it's just full of 60s rock, like Beatles and the Beach Boys, and just kind of stuff like that. And everything was like incredible shape. And I asked the lady how much. She said 50 cents a record. So out of that box, I pulled Meet the Beatles. And if I deciphered everything in the book correctly, with all the variations, this is a first press, and it's in the book for $400. And it's in near mint shape. It's got like a little bit of ink, blue ink here. But the vinyl is mint. And just crazy. 50 cents. And of course I'm like, do you have more at home? She's like, no, this is it. It's what was in the basement. It was left over from her mom's collection or something. But I don't know, I picked up about 30 albums from her, and that was the best one. The next one came from a flea market, and this was another 50 center. And I like old country, so I'll pick some up every once in a while, especially if it's in this kind of shape, which this is pretty much dead near mint to mint. It's got a couple little things like on the corner, and even has the original inner sleeve here. But I get home, and I mean, it's just George Jones. I picked it up for 50 cents. Get home and look it up, and it's $150 in the book. It's just blew my mind. I didn't know any of the old country went for anything like that. So that was a pretty good day. And the next one, I actually paid $10 for this, but I really like blues, and I found this in a shop for $10. Champion Jack Dupree. This is the original press on Atlantic, and I just kind of picked it up because it was a cool blues album. So I get investigating it and looking it up, and in the book it's $150. It's crazy. And which makes me think, who's actually paying $150 for these albums? And I've never sold one. I mean, I have a few like this in the collection, and I've never sold one for even half, $150, $75 or whatever. I just get them and stick them in the collection. The next couple I showed in my first video, I found this at a record show. Chuck Berry, St. Louis to Liverpool. And this is an original press on chess. And I was in the right place at the right time. The guy threw up a box of records, and this, along with a bunch of blues, was in it. And he was like $5 for anything. So I grabbed that one. Like I said, that one's $80 in the book. And this one, Chuck Berry, Rockin' at the Hops. This one is $180 in the book. It's also a original press on chess. But $5. I mean, I was happy. I didn't care if they were 80s repressings. For $5, I would pick them up. I like Chuck Berry. And this next one is one of the biggest ones I've found the next couple of years, actually. This is came from a flea market. I bought, I don't know, probably 10 records off a guy for like $1 a piece. And he's like, do you want the rest of the box? And I'm like, no, I got what I wanted. And he's like, you can have it for whatever, it's like $20 or something, which basically broke down to about 75 cents a record. And I was like, okay, whatever, I'll take them. There might be a couple in there I keep. So out of the ones I originally picked, I didn't pick this album, but I'm glad I bought the box. It's Bill Haley and the Comets, rocking with Bill Haley and the Comets on Essex Records. And this is also an original press. This is from 1955. I believe. I actually have these up so I can have the year right. 1955. and this is in the book for 500 bucks. This thing's in great condition. Got it for 75 cents, and I passed it over. I wasn't even going to get it, and I picked out some rock stuff and left that. If he hadn't offered me the box, excuse me, if he hadn't offered me the box, I wouldn't have grabbed it. The next thing was also at a flea market, and going through a bunch of records and found nothing except for this one, and I just grabbed it because it looked cool and I knew it was old. And the guy wanted, I think I paid him $3 or $4 for it. I just kind of took a chance, and actually I like who this is. It's Ike and Tina Turner, Kings of Rhythm Dance. And the year on this is 1962. This is on the Sue label. So like I said, I paid $3 or $4, I think 4. Get home and look it up, and it's 400 bucks. And the crazy thing is, it's like a Tina Turner, but it's all instrumental. Tina Turner's not on this album. There's no vocals on this album, but it's a killer album. It's very much the music of like the 60s teen movies you've seen, and very, very good. The next, I think I paid a couple bucks for, and I knew what it was, and I knew it went for a lot of money, but it's beat to hell, and it's probably the closest I'll ever have to come to having a copy of it. So here's Little Richard on Specialty, his first pressing, and this thing books for 700 bucks in the Goldmine catalog, or price guide. Which, whatever, somebody's going to spend 700 bucks. Can't imagine it being on a record. Or, I guess if you have it, you can do it. The next one, actually, the guy had this in an indoor antique shop, and I found a bunch of stuff, and this was at the end of the box. And I'm a big metal guy, but I knew nothing about this band, but I knew it was old, early 80s metal, and he wanted 20 bucks for it, and they had a sale going on, 25% off, I think, and it ended up being $15. So I thought, it's metal, I'll go ahead and grab it. It's in fantastic shape, still in the shrink. And I get home and do a little investigating, and just got blown away by how much this goes for. It's the first Bathory album, and it's the Yellow Goat cover, and it is an original press. So I look it up on Pop Site, and the first few I pull up, there's auctions that have closed on this for 700 to 800 bucks. And I'm like, you're kidding. And I keep digging, and I actually found one auction that closed. If it was a legit auction, I'm not sure, but it closed at $1,500. Which is just insane, but like I said, I got it for $15. And it does come with an insert, and this one doesn't have the insert, unfortunately, but it is original, and I've read that it didn't come in a sealed shrink, but this is in a shrink, and it's from an old store around here called Waxy Maxie's, which was notorious for taking albums that people would return and putting them in shrinks, selling them as new again. So I'm guessing when they got this in, it is an import. They just put it in a shrink and put it out. So I think that's how this ended up in a shrink. But like I said, and it's actually a good album. It's kind of like Venom. I had no idea, never heard them. I know I'm not big into black metal or death metal. I knew they were, a black metal band, but I was happy to pick that up. Now the last couple, I was saying maybe show one album that you paid the most for, and as you can see, I like looking for the deals, $1 or $2, and I'll do the 10 or 15, 20 if it's something I really want, especially metal. But for the most part, I stick to the cheaper stuff. But this band I really like, and I was looking for this album forever, and it finally come up on eBay. And this isn't the album, but this is who the band is. It's Dirty Looks. This is their first major label release on Atlantic. And you'll see this around all the time. You can get it for a couple bucks, $5, something like that. But before they got signed, they had 2 albums on an indie, and this is the first, or excuse me, this is the second one, In Your Face. And I think I paid around $20 for this or whatever. But like I said, I really like this band. Saw them live 3 or 4 times in the 80s. But the album that I've paid the most for, single album in my collection, is their first album, Dirty Looks. And this is on Axe Killer. It's a French label, and this was released in 1983. This band's actually from, started in San Francisco, but ended up in Erie, Pennsylvania. And I actually paid $80 for this on eBay. I watched forever, and they were constantly going for anywhere from $60 to $100, and I pretty much got it in the middle at about 80. But I'm very happy to have it, and this is the only one I've ever seen. I've never seen one anywhere else, in a store or anything. So I'm happy I did it all those years ago, probably 10, 12 years ago when I first got on eBay. So, well, that's mine. I just thought it might be a cool thread with summer coming and people thinking about, getting out and hunting for records. Think about some of the deals you've got and that kind of thing. So I look forward to seeing any responses, any posts for the thread. Have a good one.